All right, Coach, we were talking about developing the leaders around you, and I think with you it starts in the recruiting process. So, because I know you're out there looking for winners, because winners are obviously easier to turn into leaders, because it's natural. But tell me a little bit about your recruiting, what you're looking for and looking at on.
Well, when I go out and recruit, it's like whether I was at Baylor, TCU, Lamar, UTRGV, Texas Tech, Kansas. I mean, Dallas Christian. The very first thing I look at the three A's. I look at academics, and I'm going to go back on the academic part, and I'm going to go back to their freshman year, and I'm going to go back and check their absences because you don't want to recruit a kid for a scholarship. You know, of course, at Dallas Christian, we're academic scholarship, but like at TCU and Baylor, those scholarships worth 45, 50, 60,000 a year.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're going to have kids that you can depend on.
Mm-hmm.
So academics is so important. You know, right now the SAT, the ACT are not as prevalent because of all the COVID issues. You know, everybody, I would really work hard on the GPA.
Okay.
Get the GPA, get up in that top rank, and especially the academic schools like the Ivy League or the private schools like us, that GPA is significant on more money for you.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to look at academics. I'm going to look at ability. I'm going to look at somebody who's going to play hard on both ends of the floor. I love kids who rebound. Oh my gosh, who don't stand to get them, but go get them. And then I love kids who will take charges. See, I think taking the charge is one of the biggest difference makers in a game that shifts momentum, that hitting a big three,
Mm-hmm.
Big rebounds. And I want kids with ability, and then I'm going to watch them play in the summer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see who plays hard in the summer to see if they cross that midcourt line or they're going to jog.
See if they play any defense.
Yeah, if they play any defense at all. Because if you win championships, you got to play defense.
Yes, sir.
And you got to have it. You got to do it. I mean, and it gets down to getting it done defensively. But ability, I can go back in 45 years, and you think about that. I've coached a lot of people. And probably in my top 5 of the kids I've ever coached, one of them is 5'2".
Yeah.
And she was phenomenal, a girl named Jenna Plumley. So a lot of kids, size does not matter on the basketball floor. I mean, if you have it and you can bring it and you can be consistent and you can shoot the three like you're 5'2", yeah, you better be able to shoot the three and or finish at the rim or attack or mid-range jumper. That's what I call 3-level shooting. But the size part of it, it's what's in your heart. And I'm looking for people that have a great heart, that have a high motor. And it's sort of like I've always had this coaching theory. I'd much rather calm one down than fire one up. And that's what I'm doing. So academics, ability, attitude. Attitude, I've crossed off so many kids with bad attitudes. And I tell you what, I have so much respect for those guys and young ladies who wear the black and white shirt, the referees. And people go, what? No, I do. I have ultimate respect for them because they're growing the game.
I have so much respect for them. I would never take on that role.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, they do, like Tony Stigliano. I mean, unbelievable what he's done for the game of basketball and doesn't get recognized for it. And Ann, she does all the work. That's Tony's wife. But the officials, the referees that he's put out over the years, they've become best friends of mine. We all got a job to do and an attitude. That's what I told my players. I said, you never disrespect an official. Ball's loose, go get it, hand it to them. Because it will, it's just natural. It will haunt you if you don't do that. It just rolls back around. But you always show your attitude. Like if they make a bad call, don't let it affect you on the other end and go down and pout. Oh, I don't like pouters. And then,
did you ever notice some of those kids that had those traits? Their leader had those traits while they were coaching, because I always felt like if I always tried to be calm, cool, collective, respectful to refs. If I had to go chase the ball down, I would, to show the example to my kids.
Right.
But I sometimes I felt like when I watch other teams, their kids' attitude was more a reflection of their leader than maybe them.
Well, I tell you, the thing is, I like kids that have high energy, but it's got to be positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
Positive energy gets you over a lot of difficult situations. And so we have terrific respect for the officials. They don't make facial expressions because if they do, they're coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, be motivated, be in the game. Don't let an official upset you on both ends because you got to play both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
Also, an attitude. Everybody wants to start. Is that right? Everybody wants to be the starter. Wants to be the star. All right. So you start. I'm watching the bench to see who's cheering for their teammates. Okay. But here's a critical issue: is all right. I'm going to sub for you. All right. When I sub for you, how's your energy coming off?
Mm-hmm.
You know, energy speaks volumes. Body language speaks volumes.
Tell a lot.
So you hustle off, you slap your teammate coming in, you wish them the best, or are you going to go sit on the bench and slump down and pout?
Into the bench or
and then roll their eyes, and then I love it when they look up, in the stands. I remember I was coaching one year in high school and that happened. And I said, okay, go sit with your dad. She said, what? I said, no, you're not playing the rest of the game. Go sit with your dad, see how much playing time he's going to get you. And never had any trouble with that again. And I mean, because it's, you got to, especially during a timeout, I want kids locked in, looking at the coach. I watch that stuff. People don't realize I go to summer ball and watch that stuff. I go to high school games and watch that stuff. And now I'm getting on the issue here, high school and AAU summer stuff. I respect them both, and I make a lot of contact. I'm a former high school coach. I will make a lot of contact with them, but also there's a lot of good AAU coaches out there that teach not only the fundamentals but the discipline and part like that. Those are the kind of kids that you want to go recruit because they're used to being coached. They're used to being disciplined, and so I'm looking. How are they gonna react when they come to the bench? Are they gonna set up and cheer for the teammates? And if they pout, then that's a question mark. It really is. Are they mad at themselves? Sometimes that's okay, but don't neglect to cheer for your teammates because they're over there cheering for you.
Yeah.
And then again, during that timeout, boy, you follow that coach's eyes while he's drawing because you don't have very much time.
Yeah.
And so as we're developing the 3A's on what I recruit, that's just very, very essential. And also with my ladies on my team, I track attendance, we track grades. I mean, we're not going to miss class. We're not going to do that. And see, my kids, we're on academic scholarship. See, they're paying to go to school. And that there's just no excuse for not getting your work done.
Yeah, definitely. So this is going to get me into relationships a little bit. I know you consider them invaluable. A lot of relationships in this industry kind of ends when that player funnel ends for between college coach and high school coach or maybe AAU coach. But I found you stay plugged into these relationships long term. I've been out of coaching for 6 years now, and we still communicate regularly. What drives you to maintain relationships?
Well, life is about relationships. And the thing is, if you want to be successful, you got to know how to network. And do you need to be, talk all No. But you got to, it's sort of like, I'll give you a great example, like Andy Landers, one of the coaches I just love to watch. How good are him and Rebecca Lobo and Carolyn Peck on TV describing the women's game? They're incredible. Drop them a text. Hey, Andy, appreciate what you're doing to grow the game. And the thing is, you can text, you can do that, but I'm telling you, still to this day, there's nothing like receiving a personal note from a kid saying, hey, Coach, thank you for what you did, or happy birthday. But a positive personal note goes a long way.
I still write personal notes in the real estate business.
And I write, it's just like I had my group of young ladies. We wrote to 15 coaches at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and we're writing to, I'll tell you, Coach Conrad. We're writing to Gino. We're writing to Doug Bruno. Doug Bruno, my gosh, what that guy's done for the game, developing camps in Chicago and the coaching style. Oh my gosh, he's great. Sherry Coles, love her. And we sent 15 out there. Don Staley, Vivian Stringer. Oh, Vivian, love you, Vivian. If you're ever watching this, you're the best. But you develop those relationships too. It's sort of like when I was a recruiter, I wanted to meet at least 15 to 20 coaches when I went to all these big tournaments and go meet young coaches that were, say, 23, 24 and get to know them, develop a relationship with them, text with them, email with them, and then you turn around and you're helping them with jobs.
Yeah.
And then you're watching them get their first head coaching job. But it's all about networking, developing relationships, and that makes it fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and then something happens to you, sort of like personal issues that I'm going through with my daughter-in-law with cancer, with my grandson. He's perfect. But of all the texts that I get, one of the things we did, our team, we wrote personal letters to Joy Lee McNellis at Southern Miss fighting cancer, stage 4.
Yeah.
You couldn't. We sent her across, and you couldn't imagine how that made her day. Just small acts of kindness, because if you are kind, kindness will find you.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a great day every day. You determine each day what your day is going to be like. And I can tell you this, my buddy Scott Cook, we visited the other day. He's up at Frisco, legendary coach there in baseball. And we grew up in Sanger, Texas. And we had a young man named Big Ira Richardson. And he was a special needs kid. But then back in those days, you didn't have the special classes or anything.
Yeah.
He was in our class, and me and Scott made sure that we were going to take care of him. He ended up being our manager on our basketball teams or football teams. And we learned from him, from Ira, that you could have a good day every day. And I learned that from him. And he was probably one of my greatest mentors. And he's a special needs kid, and he was in a great mood every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And you can do that. You just got to make yourself. You got to plan. You got to get that done. But I've had so many great role models. Mentioned Gary Blair. Gary Blair, what a great coach. Wasn't that great to see him win the SEC this year?
Yeah.
I mean, his kids worked hard. I mean, great coaching staff. But it's like to say, me and Gary were experienced. But I used to ride with Gary when he was at South Oak Cliff. I was at Frisco.
Yeah.
We'd ride together to Brownwood or Abilene to the Texas Girls Coach Association clinics. And matter of fact, the TGCA is coming up July 11th through the 15th here in Arlington. Sam Tipton and that crew, unbelievable clinic. And again, kudos go out to Rick Shirley and Bob Wall, Johnny Carter, John Fry, that staff, for what they did, the TABC clinic, pulling it together. And my gosh, the Northside, San Antonio Northside athletic department, what a great job of helping us with facilities and making that work, especially coming back from all the COVID and all that kind of good stuff. And then again, Renee Garza, South Padre Island Clinic, 30 years, grow the game in the Valley. I mean, it's relationships, and you've got to continue. And these, Success Never Rests podcasts are reaching a lot of people and making a lot of difference on a lot of young coaches. And like I said, I'm got my email blast system ready to go. I've got a young lady, Bailey Wilden. She's going to be having her first college job. She played point guard out at Ranger Junior College.
All right.
She's from the Arlington area, and she's fired up about being, at Dallas Christian. And this past year, had assistant Katura. She was there the first half, and she got COVID didn't finish the season with us, but again, what a great young lady, and you build those relationships, and again, I guess I'm recruiting for Dallas Christian College here, but I'm working with Dwight Coleman on the men's side.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most motivated guys and Christ-like coaches I've been around. I like to go to his practices at 5:30 in the morning, just so I can hear his, not only watch him coach, but hear his devotionals to his kids.
Okay.
And he works a lot of AAU ball with young kids in the summer, and it's, the game is growing. It's growing tremendously. I mean, you're watching all the stuff on TV now and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm a Mavericks fan. I'll let you know that. And Dirk, I watched Dirk come into the league when he was a rookie. That shows I've got a little experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Doncic, it's a special group of Dallas Mavericks.
Well, and I know you got a lot of international experience, so
yes, I do.
So I know the Mavericks. They're always an international team. So when we're talking about the relationships, I think it's really important that you leave yourself vulnerable to build relationships.
Sure.
What's a few ways you leave yourself vulnerable to your team so they see Coach Tidwell as a human, not this coach that they can't be around, and
Well, one thing I love that I have individual meetings, but one in a group, I ask them, "Do you have any questions?" And I'll say, "Okay." Like for instance, I've got Courtney Locke, old point guard. I say, "Courtney, Crystal, suggestions," and they go, "Okay." And it's sort of like, if you're going to build those relationships, you need to incorporate them. It's sort of like, if I'm going to work at McDonald's, I'm going to work a lot harder at McDonald's, not only if I'm an employee, but if I own 15% of that company, I'm going to work a lot harder.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want my kids to have ownership. And when we design our locker rooms, they're part of it. But also they're going to get in there and help me paint them. And the stuff along that line, because it's going to be part of them. And we're going to, with my player's handbook, I get ideas from them. Music, I told you we did music. Edited music, I let them play their music. Things along that line. Everything will be edited. But if you want your players to play for you, you've got to let them have some ownership. Okay. Now you're the head coach. You're going to make those decisions. But again, if you go and support those kids outside their domain, then you're going to build a relationship. And I always tell my kids this, and this is something I've learned a long time ago. In this lifetime, you're going to have friends, you're going to have acquaintances, okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to learn that acquaintances are only there when you can help them. Friends are going to be there for each other all the time. It's like in this coaching business over the last year and a half, I've lost now 22 close friends to complications from COVID or heart disease, but our friends keep uniting, and we keep pulling each other together. Like
probably get closer.
Oh yeah. And it's amazing as you do this, as you get older. The majority of the time, the only time you really see your friends is when you go and we've lost somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to start doing stuff now to just, hey, let's go have some fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Things along that line. But with your team, they got to know you're genuine. And one thing that I learned is you don't talk about, if you're talking to your team, say if you're having an individual meeting, then say, me and you were meeting, that I'm not gonna talk about when you're a teammate to you.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna get back.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to be smart.
Or they're thinking if he's talking about her to me, then he's talking about me to somebody else. And,
But something too that I've done quite a few years that means something. It really does. Is, and we did it this year at Dallas Christian. Is I'm trying to build something special on the campus, and so we got a. I guess as a commercial, maybe you could charge Hobby Lobby for this or something. But it's like those 6-inch wooden seats. The
Mhm.
white ones, these are seats.
Yeah.
We went and got some stickers, and our kids signed the back of them, and we put we put crosses on them, we put basketballs, we put motivational sayings, and we made sure, and we're in the process, we haven't got them all of them, but we're taking those to our professors, our administrators, our maintenance people, the people who cook
Mm-hmm.
daily. I mean, you want to show appreciation at every level.
Every level.
And if you do that, then it's going to grow like wildfire. And people are going to come out and support you, all right? I was talking about community service at Lamar, over 1,000 hours a year, 6 straight years, we won the community service award, okay?
Yeah.
Our attendance went from less than 100 to about 1,400. Because people in the community, I go to UTRGV, less than 40, okay? We get in the community, 1,000 hours, we're up around 1,200. And we were really growing when I left there. We had some good teams, and I left, went to Tech.
Yeah.
But if you do the community service and then you adopt it, it's sort of like, one of my favorite stories ever is I'll be driving to UTRGV. There's a Army veteran that's in a wheelchair selling newspapers. I bought one every morning.
Yeah.
And then his name was Sal. Got to know him, and then we made sure Sal came to every one of our games, sat behind our bench.
Mm-hmm.
And he became just a legend in the valley. And we went down the other day, and I spoke to South Padre Island Clinic, and I made sure to go by and see him and Catherine, another kid we adopted. There's about 5 more. But we also went by, and just this is so special to me to do this. We went by, and Lou Hill, head men's coach at UTRGV, died this year.
Mm-hmm.
He coached a game on a Saturday. He went home, went to bed, never woke up.
Mm-hmm.
He and I worked with Lou down at UTRGV, and what an unbelievable person. And so I went down and I've been texting his wife, and he has a little daughter. We call her Sweets. Her name is Elle. But I go down and I arrange it, and I call the AD at UTRGV. I said, "This is what I'm trying to do, Doc."
Mm-hmm.
So I meet him at the gym, and TV comes and covers it. It's so cool. It's unbelievable. It went viral. A lot of people saw it. And Elle, she's in the 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
She's sweet. So she's going to be a tremendous athlete. Well, I took her a Dallas Christian jersey, number 3.
Yeah.
That was her dad's number at Wichita State. He was an unbelievable player at Wichita State. And we offered her a scholarship for the class of 2029. Of course, we only have academic scholarship, but that's okay.
She's going to make the grades. She's going to make the grade.
But you do things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like we go to South Padre Island Clinic, and Rene Garza, the godfather of the valley now, okay? He's done this clinic for 30 years, blood, sweat, and tears. He's gone through cancer. He's gone through open heart surgery, and he just had part of his right leg amputated. And so we get up, and I get a hold of Kansas, and we get him a hard copy wood graphic of the original rules of basketball.
Oh, wow.
And then we had about 200 at the clinic. It was really good. And so we're sitting there, and I got up and I told him, I said, a lot of people don't know this story, but in 1984, and Rene is about 5'2", 110 pounds on a good day,
Mm-hmm.
And what a coach. He can coach them up, but he's retired now, but he concentrates on the clinic. I told him, I said, in 1984, people didn't know that, but Rene Garza was going to be the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls. And he had a guy backing him up named, Michael Jordan he was a rookie that year. And I said, but Rene, he was benching about 600 pounds, and he hurt himself, and the rest is history, and they had to cut Rene and all that because of him,
Yeah.
And then Michael Jordan stepped in. So we introduced the starting lineup.
Oh.
And then we introduced starting at point guard, and we had a Chicago Bulls jersey for him with number 23.
Yeah.
But on the back it had Garza.
Oh.
So we introduced him in the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. And that was so great. But it was so emotional, and everybody's just tearing up. But people realize what friendships are about.
Yeah.
Friendships, relationships. That's what makes this world work.
Yeah.
And it does. And we got to continue to grow the game, but we got to continue to grow the relationships that go with that game into the friendships. When the game's over, shake that coach's hand.
Yeah.
And I'll be something I'm really proud of this is 45 years of coaching. 45 years of coaching basketball. I've had 2 technicals in 45 years.
Well, shows you're concentrating on coaching your team, not
well,
officiating.
And I got one this year. We were up in Barclay College in Kansas, and I'm not going to say it was bad, but it wasn't good. But they had like 3 guys, I think, that were older than me calling the game. I'm pretty old. And I said, man, this is a home job. Boom, got a technical. I said, I apologize. I sat down. And for that, I'm going, come on now. Come on. But hey, you got to just keep building relationships, growing the game.
Okay. All right, Coach, I'm going to tell a real quick story. When I was at McKinney North, probably learning from you, coaches that always that were my mentors encouraged you to hold a coach's clinic in your program, to host a tournament. So I always tried to host leagues, just like you, trying to grow the game. And to grow the game, often you need other people's help. So I called on you one time to come speak at my coach's clinic. When you were at Lamar, I know you traveled from Beaumont all the way to McKinney, Texas, spoke an hour and a half, turned around and had to drive back to Beaumont. Not only coach, you're the athletic director there. But that just shows me how selfless you are. You didn't have to do that for me. That's a long, long drive. But, first, jokingly, have you ever had a selfish thought? And then, but seriously, where does your selflessness come from, Coach?
Well, the selflessness, when I was growing up, my mom was unbelievable. And I had mentors again. I mentioned, Mr. Arledge, Coach Amix, Coach Nance, Coach Lowry. I mean, I had people that were impacts in my life, and my family was always an impact in my life. And you never try to be in a position of where you ask somebody to do something and then you wouldn't do it yourself.
Yes, sir.
And so, like at Dallas Christian this year, okay, I washed clothes. I dry clothes. I hung them up. I drove the vans. I was athletic trainer for my team when the designated trainer wasn't there on game day. You sweep the floors. You clean up the gym. I mean,
servant leadership.
But it's something you do because if you do that, your kids see that, and then your players are gonna do that.
Yeah.
And we have a little pride thing about turning lights off, and making sure that our clothes are put up. Because the thing is, if you don't do those things, there's a really good motivator. It's called Ride the Pine. And now we all have plastic padded chairs, but Ride the Pine means you're sitting on the bench, or
exactly.
you're going to run a little bit extra. And it's amazing on mine if they do something, if they miss class or something like that. I don't run my kids. They do shooting drills, continuous shooting drills, because they're going to get something out of it, and that way it's not only taking care of business, but I'm making sure that they're getting better on the shot. We spend about 45 minutes a day on shooting. But getting back to selflessness, I was a member of the Rotary Club, service above self. And I was a member when I was young, and that stuck with me. And then I've been a member of the Lions Club, and and that's where I got a lot of things about community service.
Okay.
And community service, when you give back, you're rewarded tenfold. And we got rewarded by people coming to the game, and not only coming to the game, they were cheering for us. They were, they were into the game because they identified with their players. But speaking at clinics like this year, I've already spoke at TABC. I spoke at South Padre Island. I work with FIBA. And I was scheduled to be all over the globe in April and May, but because of the pandemic,
Mhm.
that's cut short. Mike, one of the things I had to do on selflessness that was really hard was I coached the national team of the Bahamas,
Mhm.
and I had to go and stay in Nassau for 5 weeks. I mean, somebody had to do it. We would hang out at Atlantis. I mean that's selflessness. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
selfless. Very
But
selfless.
I went down there, when I went with the national team of the Bahamas, I did learn a lot about the fact that you need to keep fighting for the rights of women in sports, because it wasn't, it is now, but it wasn't on an equal basis at that time.
Okay.
And, that just, when you go into an international country, I recruited internationally.
Yeah.
And as you go do that, you realize how fortunate we are here. I've been in 40 countries. I've been in all over Africa, nearly in every country in Africa. And you realize how lucky we are, and then you go over there, and I'm proud to say I've helped over 100 kids get to junior colleges, that maybe I didn't even,
Yeah.
get later on.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, and we had a definite link with Mozambique. Nelson Isley, he's with FIBA. He's one of the guys who got me really involved with FIBA. And the selflessness comes from, again, a lot of my travels of seeing, of how lucky we are compared to what they don't have.
Mhm.
And if you see that firsthand, as I've done this, I was in Nigeria, and I would do clinics, and I would take gummy bears, for these younger kids, and I was known as the gummy bear coach because I would give them gummy bears. But I guess in 45 years of coaching, the most saddest thing is when you can look into a kid's eyes and you can see no hope.
No hope. Yeah.
And that hits you hard, and you want to go back and you want to work harder. You get back home, you kiss the ground, you're living on. You're proud of America. Do we need to correct things? Yeah, everybody does. But what a country we live in.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate to have something like this. But the selflessness comes from just growing up, watching people in my community that made it all good for us. When I was in school, in 1967, it went from segregation to integration. But at Sanger, Texas, we had leaders to where the white kids, the black kids, the brown kids, we were all playing together anyway.
Yeah.
We were playing Little League, we were playing basketball, and I was just so fortunate to be nurtured and grown up in a town like Sanger, Texas, because everybody had respect for everybody. And it's sort of like, and one of my favorite sayings is, life's like a box of crayons. We all have different colors. We all have different shapes, sizes. We have different opinions, but in a box of crayons, they all fit in the same box.
Yeah.
And that's what I love that idea of everybody, shape, form, color, fashion, doesn't matter, that we all fit in the same box and work together. And that is selflessness, and that's just respect. If people will respect what others feel, be honest with them. Say, well, I may not agree totally, but if you give them the opportunity to talk about it. But giving back is, again, you're rewarded tenfold.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was one of the coolest things I guess I ever did was we started the Schulenburg Junior Basketball League, and we were kindergarten to 8th grade, and it cost them $10 to play in the league, and they got a T-shirt and a pair of socks. But my kids, both the boys and the girls, were the coaches. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We had kids. We employed them. Not a whole lot, but we charged $1 to get in the game. Okay. But I had kids responsible for writing up newspaper articles about each game.
Oh, yeah.
And then we built something out of, I think, between K and 8, we had maybe, 300 kids maybe, and that just 300 kids played out of a possible 320.
Yeah.
I mean, we're playing 32 teams. I mean, it's unbelievable. But those kids still talk about it. Schulenburg still goes to the state tournament and all that. But again, we did track meets. We did volleyball tournaments. See, that's why I thought it's whatever sport you do a tournament at your home. It becomes big.
Yeah.
I was at we had a basketball tournament called Sweet 16. I had college coaches coming from everywhere. But, I would network them, call them, get them to come out.
Yeah.
And then you have a great hospitality room. You'll get a bunch of coaches there. They'll
Exactly.
come out with that anytime.
Oh, yeah.
But we had volleyball tournaments. I'd have a track meet that had 1,500 runners. I mean, we had kids who ran in those track meets who were Olympians.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, and I had summer track at Schulenburg, Texas. And we would go all over the country. We'd go to Florida, we'd go to New York, Kansas, and run in the Junior Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, why not us? I mean, it doesn't matter what size school you're from. If you're white, black, brown, if you're rich, poor. If you work, if you're willing to put in the time, you put in the grind, you're going to be rewarded.
Yeah.
And those kids, it is so cool to see so many of them that are coaches now. And selflessness of just being genuine. See, that's my favorite and most respected word is genuine. If you're genuine, then you're gonna be good, and we're gonna get a lot of stuff done.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit. You've been in 40 countries. I know you've recruited all over, working with FIBA. So coaching internationally and in the States, I know you personally, it makes you gain more respect for our country, just seeing conditions and things. But on a player level, what's different in the international player versus players here in the States?
Well, the international, I think that the international kids, here in the States, say at the college level, you're really, you're not allowed to have as many quality hours with the kids here as you are. I'm talking NCAA level, things along that line. Those kids play ball all the time.
Yeah.
And that's an outlet for them to get to the States. I mean, their goal is to either play pro or get to the States to play. And you get a lot of kids who appreciate, like we had kids that came from Kansas. I mean, they got some nice stuff, gear, and oh my gosh. It was like Santa Claus had just been there. I mean, but same thing with kids coming from Nigeria that I recruited, Mozambique. I mean, the suit. I mean, they appreciate things a lot.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty cool. And especially in Europe and the European countries, boy, they shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how good they shoot the ball. And you find really competitive. I've been in Russia, France, Italy, you name it. And women's basketball there is very highly thought of.
Yeah.
And that is fun to see. I mean, they're packed house. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, but the international game, they've made our game better. One, the 3-point line. That's a good example. Bigger lane for the post players to work in, things on that line. And then, of course, this is not international, but one of my favorite people to ever impact the game and people go, who is this? Jack Sickman. You know what he did? Reverse pivot.
Yeah.
He was one of the first ones to use the reverse pivot. He wasn't as fast or as quick as people. He would step to the ball, reverse pivot, shot off.
Open up and get that space.
I got the space, and now look what that's. See, that's all I teach.
Well, yeah.
I'll teach an up and under. Drop step, no, because we're so short. I've been in places where why would you drop step in your 5'7"?
Yeah.
I mean, you step, you create angles, and you attack, and you may get a call.
Yeah, yeah.
But Jack Sickman, and I thought one of the biggest impacts of people, I'm talking about people that impacted my coaching career, is I used to go watch a coach named Sonny Allen at SMU.
Mhm.
That's where I learned 11-man pass break.
Okay.
And that guy learned how to, I mean, you learn how to play on the move with him. And that was back, back in the football days where everybody ran the wishbone and the veer. I was a passer, back in my career. But, I mean, but impact on me. I mean, and you look what Tom Penders did for the game of basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you just go back, Tom Penders, Abeline, I mean, what Billy Tubbs did I mean, just the fast break style of play. But Tom Penders brought something to Texas high school basketball. Remember the old jump stop?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he taught that, and man, everybody at first thought it was a travel, but it wasn't. I mean, he helped change the game.
Yeah. Stuff that we all teach now.
Oh yeah, everybody teaches that, and that reverse pivot and attack at angles.
Yeah.
I have my favorite saying we pop out, we work on the V cuts where we get out, and we size them up, and we say, if we swing below the knees, they'll feel the breeze. If we rip it high, we'll kiss them goodbye.
Yeah.
But if we go through the hips, we're going to get stripped. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learn things like that, and just going and watching in France and watching Tony Parker play when he was oh my gosh, Dirk Nowitzki when he first came with the Mavericks. The Mavericks did a lot of stuff over at TCU when I was coaching there. I mean, and what a credit to the game he is. Oh my gosh. I mean, and what Mark Cuban has done for the Mavericks, and I know Donald Hunter. Wasn't his first name? What was Donald Carter?
Oh,
Donald Carter. Yeah, the first owner of the
Donald
Mavericks.
Carter,
I'm sorry. Yeah, and Donald Carter. I mean, the game has really grown, and it's going to continue to grow. It's worldwide. But coaching and recruiting the international kids is still such a pleasure. They're very appreciative. Our kids are appreciative.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
It's just a different.
But it's just the goal of wanting to play basketball in the United States of America is still a big, big thing.
I want you to tell me a little bit about this band of sisters that you've got here. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I always try to come up with a slogan every year. We've had make a change, whatever it takes. And then I was we were scheming on what we can do to reward our players for every aspect of our program.
Gotcha.
Okay? So we came up with Band of Sisters. And it came from, we always steal stuff, but remember, Lance Armstrong, when his bands Live Strong, things on that line. We came up with Band Sisters, and we started using it down at Lamar. We used it at UTRGV, and it's different colored wristbands. Like we would have wristbands awarded for white wristbands for academics.
Okay.
All right. I had red wristbands for on-court achievement, like team wins, anything, holding an opponent under a field goal defense, out rebound, create, and winning 20-plus assists as a team. And then you have individuals who had if you had over 10 rebounds, and I have the number assigned to what one. Like if I give a person who would take a charge, they'd get two. They get two red ones, and then I have. We have different ones for as a team under 10 turnovers. I mean, and you get
so basically you're rewarding the things you are looking for.
That's right.
encouraging the behaviors you want to see.
Right. Things like deflections. You'd be special if you had a double-double, triple-double. You get more. And what I call a tough 35, and that's total points, rebounds, assists, and steals.
Yeah.
And you'd get 5 of those. I mean, we had it. Then I have pink wristbands for community service. You get one for every hour. And it became a deal of where everybody would tie these up. And then all of a sudden they're all over your ceiling. They're in your lockers. I mean, and then we had Player of the Week honors. If you were the Player of the Year, I mean, things along that line. And then what is really cool about that is, You come down to your players of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You look at your wristband.
It's pretty easy, isn't it?
Well, it gets away from coach likes her better,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
that
exactly.
kind of stuff. And it's the wristband thing. And I always try to tell my kids one of my favorite sayings, and this comes from, I love motivational movies, you know, but this one comes from the Gladiators, okay? It's what we do in this lifetime will echo in eternity. How loud do you want your echo to be? How clear and loud do you want your echo to be? And I want my echo, I want people to remember that echo. It's sort of like there's a young lady that loved her at Frisco, Texas. She died about 5 years ago, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Sue Stafford. You know, they named the school after her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean,
yeah.
But she still talked about just, I mean, I had another friend pass at Frisco, and I was just up there a couple of days ago. We were talking about her. Her name was Bobby Thomas. She was just like Sue. I mean, just special people, like parents I love parents who go to games and yell for the other kids too.
Yeah, isn't that?
Instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, mine," why, you know,
and willing to help out in any situation, regardless of how much their kids play.
That's right.
Those
I
are
mean, and cheer, and that's what, you know, like Bobby Thomas. You know, we just lost her. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Sue Stafford three years ago. But how loud do you want your echo to be?
I love that.
You know, and
Legacy.
I want mine to be loud and clear, and just the thing that I always like is it's sort of like, you know, one of my favorite coaches, okay, Bill Self. Bill Self's echo is going to be incredible, okay? Mm-hmm. All right? Bill Self's a difference maker. Always has been, always will be.
Mm-hmm.
And like Bill, it's like, I can remember when he was at Tulsa. We were in the TCU.
I can remember when he was at ORU because I went to that team camp as
ORU,
boys basketball coach.
But you talk to Bill today, and he's done all this stuff. He's incredible. And he's still the same person that he was when he was making his way up.
Yeah.
You know, that's being humble. And he's a very humble guy. And one of his proudest things that he would tell me, one of the first things he told me is, I want you to know that my dad, I said, I know your dad's a coach. He said, but I bet you didn't know that he won a state championship as a girls basketball coach in Oklahoma. I said, I did not know that.
Oh.
And he would be at our games. You know, like if, you know, I mean, I'm going, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Stubbs did the same thing for us, the men's staff. And see, that is so important as you build programs of where the men's and women, they have to get together because you got to share practice time. Mm-hmm. But you know what's even more, if you really want to bond a school and bond something, is have your team, men's basketball team, go to the volleyball game and support them. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to look up the volleyball team, tweet out good things, you know, the Kansas UTRGV. And again, I cannot tell you enough how much respect I have for the cheerleaders, the pep clubs, I mean, the dance teams, and the pep band. Mm-hmm. I mean, at UTRGV, we were unbelievable.
Well, they have to be part of your program. Right?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But if you create that and show respect, I mean, it's sort of like UTRGV 2 or 3 times a year. I'm making sure they got pizza and water and everything. They're going to cheer louder for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the thing about that is you build all those relationships. Who knows when the next person you're recruiting may have been a best friend of somebody who was a cheerleader or who was a golfer that you treat the golf team with respect. Yeah. I mean, again, you've got to build those relationships, and you've got to build your relationships with your administrators, because I tell you what, one of the greatest examples, Rick Reedy. Rick Reedy, you know, came to 1976, same year I did at Frisco, and he coached the girls. Bob Ledbetter was the head coach AD, and I talked, me and Rick were friends, so we got him there. And then you watch him climb right up the ladder as a principal, and he was still the same as if he was.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go superintendent, still the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean, knows everybody, and that's how, that's what you call genuine. That's what you call being humble. And I have been around so many people like that. One that my best friend is Steve Rockefeller at Lamar University. I mean, it's as good a guy. I went into my first head coaching job at Lamar. Steve went out of his way to help me connect with other people. And then we ended up down there at Lamar 6 years. We wrote and directed our own TV shows, radio shows. We're on Fox Sports. I mean, just because we worked together.
Yeah.
And then Jim Gilligan, the legendary baseball coach, he was right there. I mean, just unbelievable setting on what you can do if all sports, and it's so sad. I'll talk to some coaches about, oh, this sport doesn't work with this sport, da. You got to work together. And one thing that I learned from, like at TCU, Eric Hyman was an AD there. Once a month, everybody came at lunch, and we had a short meeting, but everybody came.
Yeah.
And you had an hour, and he brought your meal, and then you talked about, you got to know who the track coach was, because I might know some people that can help the track,
Exactly.
You network.
Yeah.
And then when I go out and recruited, when I was at TCU, all those places, I'd find out there's a great baseball player that, Schlossnagle, of course, he's going to A&M now, but I'd tell them about once at TCU or Tadlock and Gilligan at Lamar. I mean, you just work with,
try to promote everybody.
You promote everything, because people need to realize one of the biggest windows to your university is your athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
And if that window is really big with every sport winning, you're going to have more kids go there.
Yeah.
And that is just a fact.
Yeah.
And that is a really good fact. And again, as you do what you do in your coaching career, how big do you want your echo to be?
Yeah.
How loud and clear do you want your echo? Gary Patterson, oh my gosh, what a job. And that goes back to, don't be scared to take a job that hasn't been really good.
Yeah.
And again, I go back, and I'm proud to say it, 58 years. And out of those 58 years, of continuous losing in 12 years, I have 10 winning seasons, 7 postseasons, a break-even season, 1 losing season. It was 14 and 16.
Yeah.
And that was my best team. And I had 6 injuries in a 3-week period.
Yeah.
That, and you just go, wow, because that was going to be my team that was going to go to the NCAA tournament from UTRGV. But, you just got to be able, as you coach, and lead. And as you lead, you got to make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to make positive adjustments. But the thing is, talk to your players. Don't just say this is some way it's going to be. Talk to them and say, hey, you need to work on this better. It's like right now, I had a prospect camp at Dallas Christian. And it's about 3 weeks ago. I'm still writing evaluations because I want to give them a great evaluation. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell them the truth, too, what they need to work on.
Yeah.
And you just do the best you can.
All right, we're going to finish up. I call this the Big 12. I'm going to give you 12 terms. I want you to give me the first thing that comes to your head.
All right.
First one's offense.
Transition.
Second, 1-3-1.
2-guard front.
Full court press.
Love it.
Success.
You got to grind.
Defense.
Man.
Motion.
Love it.
Leadership.
Gotta have it.
Talent.
Nice.
Faith.
100%.
Relationships.
100%.
Legacy.
Echo.
And shooters.
more.
All right, Coach Tidwell, it's always always a pleasure to visit with you, man. We're going to get on again because I know we got more hours to get in the future.
Well,
Wish you luck this coming up season. If you ever need any help, you know you can call me. I'm not too far away. Don't know how much help I can be, but I'll do what I can.
well, I appreciate this, and I appreciate you growing the game. And again, it's you're creating positive input and energy for our game and for leaders, and that is so important.
I appreciate that. That's all I'm trying to do.